Well, hello and welcome to the Mentor Mom YouTube channel. I'm Jill and I'm the Mentor Mom. So, have you wondered why your toddler doesn't play with other kids? Did you know that there are social stages of play that kids go through before they're going to get to the skill of playing cooperatively with peers? I'm going to talk about those today, so let's get to it. All right, so before I dive in too far, in a previous video, I talked about the types of play that kids go through. So I would really encourage you to go back and check out that video so that you have kind of the foundation of what we're going to be talking about today, because this is a little bit different. And also, I just want to point out that as we move into talking about the social stages of play, I'm really just focusing on play skills through those early preschool years. Okay, so let's get started. All right, well, there are 6 different social stages of play, and we're going to go over each of those in a little bit more detail. The first is unoccupied play. Then we have solitary play, onlooker play, parallel play, associative play, and cooperative play. So let's talk about each one of these play stages in a little bit more depth. First up, unoccupied play. This is what we see from infants. It's random movements. There's really no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. But it is really important for infants because it's teaching them about how to interact with objects. It's teaching them about learning how to control their bodies, as well as understanding the impact that they have on the world around them. So it's the beginning level of play. The next stage is solitary play, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Your child is playing off on their own. They don't really seem to notice any other kids. They're really not showing any interest in playing with other people, but it's a really important stage, and it's not something that you need to really worry about if you see your child doing it. What they're learning how to do during solitary play is how to master the skill of the play that they're doing so that they can then do it later on with other people. For example, I can't work with another child to build a tower if I can't build a tower on my own. So it's setting the foundation for them to master some play skills that they'll then start to use down the road when they're interacting with other adults and peers. Next up is onlooker play, and that's where children are watching other people. They may be asking some questions or commenting on what they see, but they're not trying to join the play. They're just sitting back and watching. Again, it's a very normal part of the play progression and the development of skills. It doesn't mean that a child is scared or timid necessarily. It just means that they're soaking in what's going on around them. If you think about it this way, it really isn't that much different than what we do when we go to a coffee shop or if we're at the mall and we're people watching. So onlooker play allows them to take that information in, look at kind of the social rules that are going on, and really kind of observe how things go in these different kind of social interactions and play environments. Next up, parallel play. A lot of parents are really familiar with this one. Parallel play is where 2 kids are playing next to each other. They may be playing with the same thing, but they're not doing it together, right? So I have some blocks that I'm stacking. You have some blocks that you're stacking, but we're not working together to build a tower. So if you think about parallel play, it's kind of like the warm up for the next stage. I'm kind of getting used to being next to this person and playing near them before I'm ready to jump in to that relationship with them. Next up is associative play, and this is where children become more focused on other kids or adults involved in a play opportunity, but maybe not necessarily so much the objects that they might be playing with or the activity even itself. So they have similar goals, but there aren't really any kind of rules to this kind of play. So an example of this could be a little one playing with another child at the park. They're sharing the same equipment and doing the same activity, but they're really focusing in on each other and interacting with each other. So it's really more kind of about that social part of play and doing something with somebody else. It doesn't really matter what we're doing or what we're using to do it. It's just the fact that we are interacting and doing something together. Okay, the final stage that we're going to talk about is cooperative play. And in this stage, there are cooperative efforts between kids. I was using the example of two children playing with blocks before, where one was playing with his own blocks and the other had his own blocks, and they were working on building towers, but not together, doing parallel play. In cooperative play, we're actually working together. We're stacking blocks and taking turns. So this is when children start to share ideas and toys and start to follow rules and guidelines. And this is always the tricky part of play, because a lot of times this is where we see conflict with other kids, right? Because of turn taking and wanting to have this toy or that toy. So just know that during cooperative play, they're learning really many skills that they're going to need for success later on, including negotiation, problem solving, and self-regulation, right? If you think about two little ones kind of getting into a tussle over some toys or an activity, they have to learn how to negotiate their way out of it. They need to have emotional regulation, right, to control their big feelings. And they also have to try to figure out how they're going to solve this problem. Let me give you an example. I remember when my son, he was about 2, I think, and he was at daycare, and my daycare provider said to me, "Oh, I got to share a story about your son today." And I said, "Oh boy, here we go." And she said, "Yep, he was playing in the playroom with another little guy who we'll call Ethan. And he took the toy out of Ethan's hand. He wanted the toy. They were doing something together. I don't know what it was, a block or whatever." And she said she went in there and said, "Oh no, we don't take toys from other kids," and gave the toy back to Ethan. And she said, "So I stepped out and peeked around the corner just to see what he was going to do." And she's like, "He walked up to Ethan with a bucket and held it out," which of course Ethan then took the block that he had in his hand and dropped it in the bucket. My son took it out and moved off, right? So he did some problem solving in that situation. I love that story. It just shows the creativity and how if we let kids try to work some of these things out during this kind of cooperative play, they can learn so much. So there you go. Those are the stages of social play. What I would like you to do is really kind of sit down and reflect on what kinds of things you're observing from your child. What stage of play do you think they're at? You know, are you expecting them to be doing cooperative play when they're still working on maybe parallel play with a little one? So I'm hoping that this information will help you to make sure that your expectations of your child are developmentally appropriate and give you that foundation to really kind of know what's next and be in tune with that so you can support your child as they move through these stages of play. As I said in a previous video, play is crucial for learning. I mean, this is really how kids learn how to navigate life later on down the road. So play skills, fostering these play skills, this is all setting them up for success later on down the road. Just remember, play is the work of children. That is their full-time job. They're doing it all day, every day. So we need to really recognize and value the importance of play. All right, that's it for today. If you're finding this information helpful, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Also, you can feel free to sign up for my newsletter and I'll send you tips straight to your mailbox every single week. Thank you so much, and until next time.